Alright, hey, what's going on? Still up from this morning. Like, I woke up at like 2 this morning. I don't know. I'm pretty fucking tired, but I also wanted to stream some. So let me blast out a Twitter post that nobody will see. I almost want to just fucking bite the bullet and get the fucking blue check mark. Just give into the system. I don't know. Like, it's completely... It's very obvious that maybe over the past year I've been getting much less interaction because I don't have that stupid fucking blue check mark. Anyway. One second. You know, I just need to have this stupid thing in a notepad so I can copy and paste and I don't have to retype it every single fucking time. See if my snip will work again. It's always like a toss-up. That's so weird. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Just took a hot second, hot minute, whatever. Okay, let me pull up. I have quite a few things saved. There's one that I really want to do, but I think I want to do it later on tonight. Nick Crowley came out with the Darkest Moments in TV History 5. I'll probably make a YouTube video out of that. Yeah, we'll finish up the when making threats on YouTube goes horribly wrong, I guess. do that. Okay. So we got about halfway through that the other night. I'll just start at the beginning of this. Yeah, we're about halfway through it. Got about 30 minutes left of it. Okay. And we'll play some No Man's Sky and dick around in that for a little while. So... strings? What the fuck? What happened? Whoa, what the fuck? Oh, that's why. That was very odd. Okay, whatever. Okay. I need to fix that. I need to do a lot of things.
The members of rap group 508 Productions and YouTube channel 508 Mastermind
Never heard of them.
find themselves facing similar charges to Randy Ross. These charges came after they made a series of rap songs and music videos attacking their local police in Massachusetts. However, unlike Mr. Ross, this ragtag group of wannabe gangsters would find their work not protected by free speech laws. 508 Productions was a rap group from New Bedford, Massachusetts, 508 being the area code for that city. The 508 Mastermind channel was created on September 17th of 2009. It's hard to really tell who is who, but the leader of 508 goes by Mastermind. I believe this individual is 28-year-old Jason Foley. 24-year-old Matthew Ruffino also raps on songs produced by this channel, and the duo is accompanied by many unnamed group members as well. Mastermind refers to himself as Jason in the track, if you're wondering where I came up with
They must
the
be
theory of him being
incredibly
named Jason.
popular like I am.
The rap music
I remember we
created
watched
by
a little
this
bit of this
motley crew
the other
of
night.
Caucasian MCs was absolute shit. But it's in that so bad that it's kind of good sort of way, if you know what I'm saying. Their first upload would come on the day of the channel's creation, September 17th of 2009.
That's what I'm banking off to get people in here. It's so bad, it's good.
This roughshod video showcases the Pennsylvanian poet rapping over a beat that could be best described as something straight off of the old school RuneScape soundtrack.
Oh yeah. I kind of want to play RuneScape. Or, well... We were talking about playing on a private Ultima Online server. It'd be badass if I could just boot up a server myself. I don't know how to do that, but I'd do it. It's not too difficult. Love getting high. Yep. Look at that editing in Windows Movie Maker.
Like deadass, this sounds like some pulling up to Falador type beat.
It really makes me want to play Ultima Online.
I mean, it kind of bumps though, like in a really based and scuffed way. Mastermind's marijuana masterpiece.
Everybody got to start somewhere. I'm not gonna shit on his music,
showcasing
right?
the rhymer's prowess and penchant for all things illegal and criminal. Days later, the channel would upload Crime Fiend Freestyle. This video, which appears to have been recorded using the built-in webcam of a ThinkPad laptop, would feature Mastermind freestyling over different beats, while amassed associates.
Sorry, I need to read this. Viking entities have a long history, conflict, honor, rage, pride, and yet so static, defined by themselves, never changing. Not awaits of asking me, expecting me to ask something else. Yeah, we gotta go, like, talk to the Viking, right? Viking hate Gek, hate the Sentinels, Sentinels hate our home, Gek hate Korvax, Nada should be friends with Viking, yes? So the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing. Yeah, because Viking hate Gek and the Sentinels. Sentinels don't like them because they are Korvax, and Gek hate Korvax, so Sentinels and Gek are on the wrong side of Viking. So yeah, let's see what they're saying. No, Nada's not thinking this way. Okay.
Slinks around in the background, attempting to look menacing. In their freestyles, Mastermind would rap about stealing, selling drugs, and getting money.
know what the fuck we be talking.
Oh,
We want
shit.
money quick, so give us the money, bitch. If you don't give us that money shit and you come up with that funny shit, you get hit with a dozen clips. We thuggin', bitch.
On November
Fucking
7th of
bitch.
2009, the group would upload a music video, albeit poorly made, for their song We Grew Up At. In this video, the group would speak about growing up in the 508 and how tough it could be at times.
Where is 508, did they say?
We all grew up in the
I missed that.
508, where you gotta hold on to everything you make. You gotta watch out for all the jakes and snakes.
Dude, you gotta love the microphone peaking. It's almost
In the
as
music
bad as
video,
my
they show
audio.
the members holding firearms and pointing them at the camera, all while poorly spliced in images of violence transition.
It's probably just like
they
laser
would continue
pointers.
to release music periodically, including one diss
Like in
song
Breaking
about
Bad.
CDs and a message to Mastermind's haters. In one song, he even momentarily forgets what race he is.
Do something, some real shit in the fucking game. You go against me, better spit some flame.
On November 16th of 2009, 508 Productions would upload their final music video, a song called
Trying to be the
Something
next
Say.
Eminem.
In this video, the group would show images of masked men robbing convenience stores while rapping about shooting
Jesus.
people. The ending of the song would have the group reenact the robbery, with the group crowding around a person pretending to beat him with bats and stabbing the person. Although this is the last
Jesus.
video on their channel today, what you gotta know is that there actually used to be an additional video. That one being a music video called Watch For Me. And the reason that it's gone is the reason why we're talking about these numbskulls to begin with. In the now deleted music video Watch For Me, Michael Ruffino would rap about his frustration with police, as he had 2 prior encounters with them that led to an
Did-
arrest and him being put on probation in
deserve it?
2004 for marijuana possession. The rapper makes threats and mentions his probation officer by
That's why,
name in the
that's
song.
fucking dumb.
Ruffino would also go as far as to rap about a police trooper that pulled him over back in 2006 for driving with a suspended license. Again, Ruffino would recite the trooper's full name while showing a picture of a police cruiser, followed by the sound of a gunshot. While that's going on, Foley, who's alleged of editing the video and uploading it to YouTube and MySpace, is also seen throughout the
Where the fuck
recording
is the
rapping the
entrance?
lyrics, "Watch for me, cops gonna see." It wouldn't take long before the local police would find these threats against them. And less than 24 hours after the music video was made, both Ruffino and Foley were arrested. And this occurred on November 21st of 2009. Both were charged with witness intimidation, threats to commit a crime, and threats to use a firearm. Police would later say that the
mean-
music video caused significant emotional distress for the probation officer as she worried for her life.
Oh.
Defense lawyers would defend their client's actions, stating that these weren't direct threats towards the ones named in the
It's
song.
like the
And
fucking
like the
gangster
Randy
rap
Ross
shit,
case, they would
really.
argue that the lyrics
people
within
are
the rap
morons,
single
but
was protected by
come
freedom
on.
of speech. Quote, "We have a couple of young, misguided, not very bright men posting a rap video on YouTube. The content of the video is misguided, offensive, but it's not criminal. However, the
Yeah,
district attorney called
exactly.
bullshit. Quote, that, plain and simple, is a threat. That is not freedom of speech. That is a crime." Foley's mother would tell the Boston Globe that her son was no threat to anyone, and that Jason had hoped the music video would lead to a career opportunity in the entertainment business. He thought he was
Yeah,
going
I'm
to
sure he
make it
got
big one day.
multi-million
They didn't
dollar
think
contract.
Anything was wrong with what they did. The court would decide that there was enough probable cause to hold what is called a dangerousness hearing, which is an arraignment that would decide if a defendant can be held without bail. Basically, this hearing can prove that, hey, these guys are dangerous and could cause harm if they are free. District Court ruled that the two would be held
Eyes are
without
burning.
bail.
Oh,
However,
God,
a
they've been
superior
awake too
court
long.
would overrule Foley's ruling due to him not having any prior criminal misgivings.
Yeah.
He was given bail. I would like to mention here, court records show that the guns used in the music videos, they weren't real, they were just toys.
Of course
Unlike
they were.
Randy Ross, though, freedom of speech wouldn't protect these 2 Massachusetts men. More than likely due to the fact that the rappers used actual names in making the threats against
Don't
the
I have a
officers.
Viking artifact,
Ruffino
or
would
did I
eventually
sell that
plead
shit?
guilty in early 2010 to both witness intimidation and threats to commit a crime, and he was sentenced to serve 90 days in jail. Later that year, a trial would be held for Jason Foley, and he would be convicted in December of 2010. He was found guilty of both witness intimidation and making threats to commit a crime. The music video for the song Watch For Me would be taken off of their YouTube channel, and it has since been scrubbed from the internet. Foley would be sentenced to a year in jail and would be placed on 2 years supervised probation, during which he would not be allowed to use a computer or access the internet. Interestingly enough, even
That's
though
so
it wasn't Foley who
stupid.
made the direct
They're
threats in the
fucking
music, he
morons,
would get
but-
more time, which was probably due to him being the one who edited and uploaded the videos. Plus, it was his channel. The 508 Productions 508 Mastermind channel sits abandoned and hasn't been touched for over 14 years.
David Swanson.
So if you're making threats on the internet, be it YouTube or any social media platforms, if you're showing your face, it's pretty likely that the feds are going to find you. However, there's some out there that think you can get away with this stuff by posting anonymously. And I hate to break it to you, that's not the case. And even something like a YouTube comment can lead to you being visited by police. Take, for example,
Sure.
the case of 35-year-old David Swanson from Orem, Utah, who took to the comments of a few YouTube videos to lay out a variety of threats that
Alright,
the
move.
authorities would take very seriously,
every time.
especially given
Come
that
on.
it was against the employees of YouTube. In an H3H3 podcast highlight
shit.
video from September 5th of 2018 titled Logan Paul and KSI Copyright Takedown, David Swanson would appear in the comments, writing, quote, "The only thing that comes after the death of YouTube is a funeral for all the executives that were rightfully murdered." On December 6th
shit.
of 2018, in a video
don't do
reportedly
that.
titled, "What Happens If You Tell Google to Kill Itself?" David would make his presence known in the comments here as well, writing, quote, "Google, Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, all very happy to kill themselves by falling for
This is very
leftist
bright.
ideology, religion. Their only hope of not getting their executive team slaughtered
gotta, like,
by
invert the
gun
colors
is
on
to
that or
clean
some
up their
shit.
act and start following the spirit of the U.S. Constitution." Swanson would
What the
continue making
fuck?
threats. On April 30th of 2019, he would show up in the comments section of a PewDiePie video titled
shit.
"Ending the Subscribe to PewDiePie Meme." There he would
I
write
remember
2
that video.
comments. It's actually because the goons at YouTube think their ideology has won another victory. They see Pewds as someone that is moving further away from their religion they believe in, leftism.
I like
and
that the
bringing millions
weather
with them.
is
I'm
entitled
not saying
Liquid
YouTube
Hell.
employees need to die, but I know they are at least as evil as any of the worst groups in history because their hearts are evil and they happen to be wielding the weapon of power of speech. They won't last much longer. Hey YouTube, you just lost your
it's like
parent company
300
$70
Fahrenheit.
billion. See, I
It's
kept
almost
saying
as
you
hot
guys
as
are
it
going to
is
get
in
what you
Texas.
deserve soon. Get woke, go broke. And when I visit your campus in 2
God.
weeks, I'll be able to shoot any employees exiting from the convenience of my car because the First Amendment
Why would
allows
you-
me a right to do so.
No,
As you
it
can see,
doesn't.
David seemed to have quite
What the
the
fuck?
contempt for the internet video platform as well as other social media companies, to the point where he even threatened to show up to the YouTube headquarters. And with YouTube being on high alert ever since that shooting that occurred there in
Yeah.
2018, this threat was something that couldn't be ignored. May 14th of 2019, police had been made aware of David Swanson's comments, and on May 15th, they would show up at his house and interview him, where David would admit to writing the comments. During this interview, David
Waiting for
claimed
the
that
storm to
when he
clear,
said that
by
he
the
was
way.
going to shoot any employee exiting the building, he meant with a camera, not with a gun. Police would also ask
Oh,
David
fuck,
if he was
God damn
familiar
it.
with the prior
Don't
shooting
even
at
with that
YouTube.
bullshit.
You know, the one caused by Nassim Ogdam. David would admit to being familiar with the incident. Now, David could probably make a pretty good argument here about how his comment was just a big joke and it was a dumb mistake. But there was another
That's what
issue,
fucking
as
Quantum
David would
TV
admit
did
to the authorities
when he told
that
everyone to
2
go
weeks
kill
after writing
themselves,
the
and he's like,
comment
"Oh,
in
I was
April,
talking about
he
doing
had
it in
driven to the
Elden
Bay
Ring."
Area of California
moron.
with a firearm. The Bay Area, if you're not familiar with it, is located near the YouTube headquarters in San Bruno, California. So at one point, he was very close to the YouTube campus with a loaded weapon. Definitely not a good look, and police now had probable cause to make an arrest. Swanson would then be arrested in Utah County and was charged with a second-degree felony for making terroristic threats. He would later be released on a bail of $100,000 on May 19th of 2019. YouTube would comment, quote, "Our number one priority is to protect the safety and welfare of everyone that works at YouTube. Our security team is aware of this threat and is working closely with law enforcement to monitor the situation." This man was facing some pretty serious time, especially regarding that second-degree felony charge. But tides would turn in his favor when in the courtroom. On October 1st of 2020, David Swanson would plead not guilty to the second-degree felony. And on December 16th of 2020, the case would be dismissed without prejudice. As dismissed without prejudice does mean that the charges could be filed once again if the prosecutor determines that they have more evidence. So, you never know, we might be seeing Mr.
I didn't know that's
Swanson
what
in the
that
courtroom
meant.
again. So it appears that Mr. Swanson had pretty much gotten away with making those comments directed at YouTube. We'll likely never know what Swanson planned to do in the Bay Area with that gun, but for now he's a free man.
I think we know what.
However, I will say
this,
I bet he won't be partaking in any vitriolic threats underneath YouTube videos anymore, and if he does, then he's just really, really fucking dumb. An interesting topic of conversation when it comes to public threats is how they're handled when the threat is made from a creative perspective, artistic. For example, a rap song. There's a lot of threats that are made within the rap genre, but how far can you really go? What about when the material of the song is centered around a controversial topic like mass shootings or school shootings? On February 19th, 2018, 23-year-old Randy Ross of Greece, New York would upload a music video for his song School Shooter. The title of the song implies that the lyrics are surrounding a bit of a taboo topic, let's just say. The song would start out with a bang as Randy would rap the lyrics. N-words still be in school thinking they can sneak this. I'll show up at your lunch here, N-word, eat this.
Niggas still be in school thinking they can sneak this. I'll show up at your lunch here, nigga, eat this.
The chorus of the song goes, I lay him down like a school shooter.
The backing track was actually pretty dope.
I lay him down like a school shooter.
I mean, that's a pretty good beat. Maybe don't talk about that.
It's to note that after listening to the song, even though the title had a couple of verses revolve around school shootings, the song, in my opinion, is more of just like your generic like gangster rap, like fucking
exactly. It actually wasn't that bad
type
thing.
It's not really like super. I don't know. It's not like a 4chan post. I think people are probably expecting this to be like, don't show up to school tomorrow, but in like lyric form. No, this is just your like run-of-the-mill rap song. No schools are actually named in the rap. There's no specific threats being issued out in the lyrics. I mean, of course, there's the fact that, I lay him down like a school shooter. The song is called School Shooter. It's concerning, but...
Is it like in poor taste?
Ross would later admit that although the song was written and recorded 6 months prior, he kind of rushed to make the music video, paying a friend $80 to record him. The case for such a sudden initiative was due to the national coverage for the Parkland, Florida shooting that had occurred on February 14th of 2018. Everyone's attention was on Parkland, and this was just not the right time to release such a song. The combination of the lyrics as well as the music video having footage of Randy rapping outside of Greece Arcadia High School, this combo would be a cause of concern for
maybe don't
officials.
Do that.
Now, Randy's music video, let's just say it wasn't very popular, and the few people that were listening to it were not the listeners that he wanted to have, because these listeners came with a badge and red and blue flashing lights.
Hold on. None hamper the path towards Durdendarg. As the sentinels, they must be destroyed. Their time will be ended. It's been written, so it shall come to be. This to Vikings, where Viking are basically your like your Klingons, I guess. Like your tough race, your Krogans, whatever. Call out once more, my throat harsh and gasping, sound guttural, the words spill forth, summoned by the power of the monolith. Book of Herc speaks of the rise of the travelers. They shall ascend, delving into the boundless void. The Vikings shall not impede their ascent, for travelers must prevail. So decrees the word of Herc. Okie doke. As the word fades, their lines still resonate my vision. I find myself in possession of an ancient tome. We did it. Good job, me.
In police cars. Yeah, the cops found it. And they didn't like it. Randy would write on Facebook,
What?
My video has officially reached the police officials, and they have just come to my job and questioned me on everything I love. Please share my video before it gets removed. Due to the Parkland shooting, everyone seemed to be on high alert, and when concerned citizens found his music video, they called in a tip to the police, who then made the decision not to take any chances with this guy. The Greece Central School District comments, We were made
Still,
aware of the
though,
video
I
by a
don't know.
resident who also contacted Greece
Like, being in
police.
front of
We
the schools
cooperated with their
probably-
investigation and were
probably what
recently
really did
notified
it.
that an arrest was made. The case is evidence that the community is heeding the advice of school leaders by observing, reporting, and following up on all suspicious activity. In the wake of the February 14th school shooting in Parkland, Florida, school districts have seen an uptick in calls to anonymous tip lines. Communities are banding together to do whatever it takes to keep our kids in schools safe. If you see something, say something. As a district, we are grateful to those who reported this video, and we appreciate the Greece Police Department for their continued partnership and proactive handling of this situation. After visiting Randy's place of employment, the authorities would make the decision on February 26th of 2018 to have Ross arrested and charged with making a terroristic threat, which is a
Damn,
Class D
alright,
felony.
shit.
The Greece police said, quote, Ross's arrest is in connection with a YouTube video that he can be seen in saying and making terroristic threats on various school properties in the Greece school district. We take any threat seriously, especially as it relates to schools and school safety. While no school was mentioned specifically, the person in the video, Randy Ross, was seen at various properties. Then the lyrics within the song and the content of that video, it was alarming to us. There would be some debate from both sides as the
yeah,
chief
I
of
don't know.
police felt like this
I
song
think that's
was
dumb.
grounds for an arrest and took it as a threat. And the defense attorney for Randy Ross would simply argue that this was all artistic expression and was protected under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution.
He's a rapper.
The
He did
fuck?
this with artistic value in mind, and that his speech is protected by the U.S. Constitution.
Randy would be held in jail on a $50,000 bond.
Hold on,
Mr. Ross, who
something's
had run-ins
being
with the
weird.
law prior to this, once when he was a teenager, and the other just a year before for disorderly conduct, was perplexed about this entire situation. While in jail, Randy would tell the media that when officers had visited him at his place of employment, he expected to be questioned, but didn't think that he would get arrested. He would also go into more detail about how a song was never
That's
meant to
funny.
be taken as a threat, or he was never trying to issue a threat, I should say. Ross would claim that the lyrics of his song School Shooter were all just within the framework of his rap persona, and it was him making generalized statements about, you know, if you step to him, he's gonna take you down. Randy would even
Sure.
break down his chorus in the
course.
song, lay him down like a school shooter by saying this. It's a simile, you know, a comparison using the word like or as. When asked what it meant to lay something down
At
like
least
a
he
school
knows
shooter,
something from
Randy would
school.
answer,
That's
anything.
pretty funny.
You can lay down anything. I'm laying down my music. Randy's attorney was incredibly confident in this case. He felt that the police just had a knee-jerk reaction and Randy was getting the book thrown at him. He was in fact
I
so
agree with
confident that he had Randy Ross testify in front of a grand jury himself, which is typically not a good move. Randy would later luck out, as on March 9th of 2018, a grand jury would refuse to indict Mr. Ross on the felony charge of threatening to shoot up a school in his music video, and the rapper was free to go. After the ruling, the chief of police would state, quote, "While we are disappointed and disagree with that decision, we also respect the
Oh,
legal
come
process
on.
that led to that result. We believe it was a proper charge and stand by our decision to make the arrest in this case." Now free from jail, Randy would say, quote, "I don't even want to drop any more music because I'm scared. I'm scared I'm gonna say something wrong." Randy would also apologize, stating, quote, "I want to say
Yeah.
I'm sorry for whoever took it the wrong way and whoever maybe felt
I actually agree with him for sure. I think that was a very wrong call on the police.
unsafe. I just want to say I'm sorry for whoever I impacted in a negative way." He was free of legal consequences, but sadly he lost his job as a result of this arrest.
That's
The
so
silver
fucked
lining
up.
to all of this, though, is that the controversy allowed Randy's music video to be seen by more people. It now
True.
sits at 54,000 views. Although at first hesitant, Randy Ross would continue to make music, taking advantage of his newfound fame in a music video from June of 2018 for his song Guantanamo Bay, which used news clips from his public arrest in the media. The verse begins with this: "Fuck a beat, I just beat a terrorist case." As of May of 2023, Randy Ross is still making music.
I mean, cool. Good for him. A non-operative.
One of the most bizarre stories surrounding YouTube threats is the case of Anon Operative 13, an anonymous related YouTube account that issued serious warnings to colleges, demanding immediate compliance or else. On April 26, 2012, a
this?
video was uploaded onto the Anon Operative 13 YouTube channel. This video consisted of a cybercrime threat against the University of Pittsburgh, titled Anonymous Message to the University of Pittsburgh. The content was similar to that produced by Anonymous, a worldwide group of loosely affiliated hackers and social engineers.
I
known
actually
to compromise
just watched a
websites
video
in
on
the
them
name of
taking
virtual
down
vigilantism.
Scientology.
Back in the
or at
early
least trying
2010s,
to.
Anonymous was very much prevalent, and
They
I'm
were
sure most of
huge.
you remember the group. They operated by performing cybersecurity attacks and breaches on targets that they felt deserved it or were sort of betraying the trust of the public. Sometimes they just did it to fuck with people, but yeah.
We are Legion, we are Anonymous.
In the
Yeah, they
video,
were
a
everywhere.
synthesized voice speaks, while visually a picture of
And
the
there was
infamous
another one
Guy
called, like,
Fawkes
the
mask from
Lizard
the
Squad,
film V from Vendetta is shown
I
on
think.
screen. The anonymous voice reveals that they have several recorded phone calls between concerned students and campus IT staff, stating that their personal information was possibly attacked and leaked.
Message to the University of Pittsburgh. This message is
fuckload of
directed
nanites,
towards
holy
the
shit.
CS Department and Law Department of the University of Pittsburgh. We have several recorded phone calls between concerned students and
Some
campus IT
analog
stating
horror,
that some of
suddenly.
their information was attacked and possibly leaked.
The Anon operative claimed that the college's cybersecurity department had dropped the ball and had put Pitt students at risk.
The entire CS department has done absolutely nothing to prevent and protect the students of your university.
As a result of these leaks, Anon
Excuse
operative
me.
claimed that they now had access to the personal information of every student, including access to students' individual grades.
We now have obtained access
did
to
they?
every
I didn't hear
student's
about that.
password,
Some crazy shit.
username, email addresses, personal addresses, dorm room information, parental information, course information, payment information to include type of payment, amount paid, and all corresponding credit card information.
Anon operative also claimed to have found arrest records on the servers of many supporters of the anonymous
What? Hold on.
organization, and as a result of this, the
That doesn't make sense to me. Oh, that's okay. Never mind. Never mind.
mysterious
I'm done.
entity claimed they would be taking action.
We found direct information leading to the arrests of several anonymous supporters. We will not tolerate this, and now you will be held accountable for those
Flying
actions. We have
cartographers.
allowed
Okay.
enough time for you to right the
Korvax
wrong,
can
but
do.
you have failed. You will not pay for the jailing of innocent people, lying to the law enforcement, allowing the security of this information to go untreated, and saying nothing to the students of the University of Pittsburgh. We have taken the liberty to delete the vulnerable information so that it cannot be accessed by others. We would like you to simply apologize to your students, law enforcement, and professors in your
That's
home page
Korvax,
of your
right? Yeah.
domain for a duration of no less than 15 days. If these are not met, we will have no choice
20
but to release the
subscribers.
information as we see fit.
The threats from this individual would be taken a step further, as an email from anonoperative@gmail.com was sent to the University of Pittsburgh email address with a link to the video. In May, they would also reportedly post a comment underneath their video that went into more detail on what they wanted in this apology. Quote, "We are not going to release this information
what did-
unless Pitt admins don't follow our very simple request. We are giving Pitt until Monday, May 6, 2012, and should remain posted for no less than 15 days. To help determine if this threat is real or not, we have posted very little and near useless information, but should prove our point. We also would like to mention that we have no ties with the current bomb threats, as we do not condone violence or harm to any person. This would directly violate our rules of engagement. Enjoy the information, and Pitt can stop the release of information.
Well, I mean,
However, the morning of Monday. It's rather curious
They
that
are
the
doing
hacker
harm,
is
but
whinging
I
on
assume
about
they mean, like,
students'
physical
information
harm.
being leaked while simultaneously threatening to leak that very sensitive information he supposedly cares about. One comment under the video highlights this. "Hey guys, you better stop messing with the students or we're going to mess with the students." Looking further into the channel, one will find that this wasn't Anon Operative's first rodeo. In fact, there were several videos on the individual's page consisting of similar threats. one from February 28th of 2012, in which the potential cyber criminal threatens the company Alliance Computers in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The operator claimed that the
Where the
company
fuck
wasn't
is the
protecting the personal
cartographer?
information of
They
their
usually
customers.
show
And
up.
as a result of this perceived injustice, they wanted the company to fire their website admin as well as release their mistakes to the public on the website's index page, which would notify those affected.
Message to Alliance Computers HQ in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Go without security and protection. Due to your direct arrogance and questionable motives, we possess over 56,000 of your customers' names, address, phone numbers, account passwords, and all company transactions, usernames, passwords, and arbitrary data.
Another video produced by Anon Operative, which was posted merely 6 days before the Pittsburgh University video on April 20th, targeted the website ZeptoTraining.com. In this video, the anonymous activist exposes that the website's domain was vulnerable to cyber attacks and claimed that they had done nothing to protect their students. Similar to the prior videos, the operative reveals that they have access to tons of information.
That's
If the
fucking
company
wild.
didn't
How do they do
publicize their
that?
mishaps,
That's
the
usually like,
information would have
well,
been
maybe
leaked.
not. Never
Message
mind.
to Zepto
I was
Training.
gonna say they're
You have
closed
had
system
numerous
networks,
warnings
but
that your
probably
domain
not
has
anymore.
been vulnerable, and you continue to do nothing to protect your students. We have obtained all 157 IDs, names, emails, contact information, addresses, course information. You will post your ignorance on the index page of your domain to inform your students and future students of your mishap, vulnerable information, and give each student the $500 balance toward the poor education that you offer. We will verify that our request has been met.
4 days after the Pittsburgh University threat, on April 30th of 2012, a
I
non-operative
see.
13 would release another threat, this one against a different college, that being Georgia State University. Same format as usual. The uploader reveals that they have access to personal information like passwords and other vulnerable content that was taken through exploits against the university's poor security. Now, the difference between this one and the others is due to a bill that was being presented to the Senate at the time, which was called CISPA, standing for Cyber Intelligence Sharing and Protection Act. The bill was a proposed law which allowed for the sharing of internet traffic between the U.S. government and technology manufacturing companies, aiding the government in investigating cyber threats with the goal of protecting and securing networks.
That's pretty fucking sketchy. That's like really fucking
Against
sketchy.
cyber attacks. The anonymous user seemed perturbed by this bill, and they threatened that if it was passed, the information they accumulated would all be released at once.
GC and SU Senate, rest assured, the 114.7 gigabytes of data that we have obtained will be kept safe and out of public eyes. For the time being, should this bill pass the Senate, we cannot guarantee information security, and our arm will be twisted to expose the emails. We are anonymous. We are your brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I wouldn't
everyone,
like to
and
be
we
on the
are
wrong
everywhere.
side of 4chan.
We are legion.
Who knows,
We
maybe
are
I already
global.
am. And people
We
are
do
like
not forgive.
making fun of
We
me.
do not forget.
As the media began to take notice of the Pittsburgh video, the university would hold their own investigation on possible breaches within their cybersecurity, and they found nothing. The university's vice chancellor for public affairs says, "The university examined its systems. There is no evidence of a breach. I have no additional comment." The credibility of the publisher was also put into question, as many were able to poke holes within his or her statements, as the person didn't seem familiar with the university's format, and they'd made a great deal of errors when talking about the details that, like they started leading people to believe that this individual wasn't a credible threat and they were actually bluffing. For instance, Anon Operative 13 mentioned a hydrogen server that they were able to infiltrate to get 200 gigs of information. But university faculty members pointed out that this type of info wouldn't have even been stored in their hydrogen server, as that type of server was only used by students for class projects. The server logs also indicated that the total traffic within the server was much less than 200 gigabytes.
I've never heard of that.
As you can see, there were multiple threats within a span of months, and most of these videos come within a couple of weeks of each other on this YouTube channel. These cybercrime ultimatums.
Hold on. What the fuck is a hydrogen server? Is it like the name of something? Maximize your height. No, not hydration. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck a hydrogen server is. Literally never heard that in my life.
Items were taken very seriously, and authorities would act quickly in their investigation. It is to note that when the University of Pittsburgh threats were made, it had come after a numerous amount of bomb threats were called against the university. In fact, there were so many bomb threats that the amount went into the triple digits over the course of 10 weeks. The college was on high alert. The FBI was alerted, and thus special agents from their cyber squads began to investigate. They had a good lead, too, that being the YouTube channel. It wasn't long before they were able to nab an IP address that was connected to the channel, as well as an email address. This IP would lead them to 24-year-old Ohio native Alexander Waterland. Police would find that the IPs were both connected to Waterland's home address, as well as a wireless device that was found at his sister's house in Maryland. This device was owned by the company where Waterland worked. The IP in question was found to have downloaded a significant amount of data on faculty, staff, and courses from Pitt's computer science department web pages on the night of April 25th of 2012. On May 23rd of 2012, the FBI would seize Waterland's electronics, including the smartphones and computers within his apartment. They also obtained his work laptop from his employer. While going through Waterland's computer, the authorities found that it was used to visit the Anon Operative 13 YouTube channel, and a search through his phone found saved images of the anonymous Guy Fawkes mask. Some of these images were identical to the ones used in his videos. Evidence continued to pile up as they searched his browsing history on his phone, and they found that he had Googled looking for websites that can create synthesized voices. On June 20th of 2012, Waterland was arrested, and he was charged with making interstate threats, extortion, and interstate extortion involving a computer. He faced a maximum penalty of 7 years in prison and a $500,000 fine.
Give me my
It
word.
would be discovered later that Waterland actually had an accomplice. This was another Ohio native, 26-year-old Brett Hudson. The story goes that Brett is one of those who suggested to Alexander to download the data from the University of Pittsburgh server. Later, after sending the email, Hudson would set up a Twitter account where he would tweet out a link to the video, which was received by the administration of the university. The two would continue to interact with the university through emails, attempting to prove that there was a data breach. One of the emails sent to the university
I wonder if they're trying to do like phishing shit. That was a big thing.
Quote, "Do what's
they
best.
would always tell
Time
us.
is of the essence, so you have 7 days to have the public apology to the students released. Otherwise, usernames and passwords are next. We are anonymous. We are Legion. We are your brothers and sisters. We are the students and faculty of Pitt. We are your worst nightmare.
It's
the
so
internet is here.
cringy.
You will now expect
But I mean,
us."
they actually
Hudson
did
would
do a
plead
bunch of
guilty
shit,
in October
so-
of 2012, and on November 11th of
What do I
2012, Waterland would plead guilty to conspiracy to commit internet extortion. It would also be ruled that Waterland and Hudson had no involvement in the bomb threats and that it was simply a coincidence. In May of 2013, Waterland would be sentenced to serve 1 year plus 1 day in prison. Hudson was able to avoid prison time.
Why one
However,
day?
in July of
Hey, what's
2013,
going on?
he was sentenced to serve 3 months in a halfway house, 3 months of house arrest, and 2 years of
What
probation.
a fucking
It's
moron.
never really mentioned why these two decided to do this. Maybe it was just for fun, or possibly some
What a
weird form of
fucking moron,
vigilantism
dude.
that they
All
thought
for
would get them some
nothing.
online clout. Unfortunately, the only thing it
Oh,
got them
clout.
was prison
Okay.
time and a criminal record. Let me know what you guys thought about this video down
This is a
below.
pretty
in the comment
interesting
section.
video.
Let
What's
me
going
know
on,
who
sexual?
or what you want me to talk about next.
This was when making threats on YouTube goes horribly wrong. The one before this was really fucked up. They like arrested this guy for rapping because he was talking about like shooting cops, but like in a nondescript manner, like the old school gangster rap. It's actually pretty fucking good, all things considered. But the cops got butthurt about it. Because of course they did. Ooh, yeah, I've been wanting to watch this one. We can.
In November of
look at this.
2023, Omegle, the infamous and massively popular roulette.
I have never been on Omegle, and probably will never be, considering it shut down. Yeah, never did that. I don't think, because that was around a long time. I know I've seen other people be on it though.
Style video chat site was shut down by its owner, Leif K. Brooks, ending its nearly 14-year run under somewhat troubling circumstances.
Yeah.
So what happened? Well, if you're
It's
like
like pretty
me,
recently.
you grew up with Omegle as a teenager and probably ran into your fair share of
It's like the most basic, fuck, how do I word this? You know, like whenever you're a little kid and you're taught like don't talk to strangers, this is exactly like that thing, except you can talk to strangers. Like fuck, I don't know. I can't like articulate my words right. But I think it's funny. Something's like very ironic about that because it was a huge site
of grown men exposing themselves
It's just-
on the platform.
It's just like, I don't know. It's so ingrained in your mind as a child. So when you're an adult, it's like, ah, fuck that shit. Let's go talk to strangers. I mean, you have to, right? Like, effectively, everybody's a stranger at some point.
This sort of activity has plagued
Yeah.
Omegle since its inception, with many
Oh, yeah,
adult
that's what
users
this is about.
intentionally broadcasting illegal
I think.
material to the unsuspecting underage users of the site. The prevalence of this dangerous material on Omegle is what eventually would lead to the platform.
Yeah, it just turned into a bunch of guys jerking off. As like, from what I understand, that's what it devolved into.
Demise, with the owner becoming so disillusioned by the chat site that he created
Yeah.
that he killed it, feeling as though he had created a monster. And he was getting hit with a bunch of lawsuits.
Hey, me too.
Today I'll be going through each of Omegle's major criminal controversies in chronological
I
order,
actually have a
telling
pretty,
the story of the sick freaks that got this website.
I have a pretty funny story about that because right when we first got the internet in like, fuck, I don't remember, 04, 05, something like that. My mom was on it. You know, we had AOL, you know, America Online, obviously. And she would join chat rooms. And there was this one chat room called M for M, like M4, the number 4M. And my mom's like spending hours in there, and it's like, oh, these people are so nice, and they're talking about fashion. And okay, so if it was in like, let's say 95, that was what? 25 years ago? 35? 30? 30, right? Fuck, I don't know. I can't do math. Anyway, she was in that chat room, and I had to explain to her, like, Mama, no. That's, you're in a gay man's chat room. Like, she had no idea. No fucking clue. It was... It was so fucking funny. How old was I? Oh, I was... Okay, I was born in 86, let's say. I was 9 years old. Okay.
Taken down. This is the
It was so
disgusting
funny.
fall of Omegle.
She had no clue.
Today's video is sponsored by Cook Unity. Cook Unity offers weekly batches of gourmet meals prepared by our country's best restaurants and chefs and ships them right to your front door.
No,
Each Cook
95.
Unity meal is prepared in a
95.
regional micro kitchen. and is
94 or
shipped-
95, right? Yeah, if I said 2000, I didn't mean that. Yeah, 94 or 95.
at the peak of freshness. They arrive fresh, never frozen, and are fully cooked and ready to eat. All you gotta do is heat them up, which is perfect for anybody with a busy schedule like yours truly.
Yeah.
And with that out of the way, let's
You
take a
you
look
ever
at what's on
like
the Cook
realize you
Unity
see
menu
these all the
tonight.
time?
First
Like
off, we've
they
got
never
this adobo
say how
flank
much they
steak with
cost
potato and broccoli.
because they're
The
really
steak is
fucking
super tender,
expensive. Like
and the
really
little sauce
expensive.
that goes on top of it. Slapping, dude. Next, we have the classic pasta bolognese with Parmigiano. And guys,
I never
it
got
just
into the
hits.
game facts chat. Actually, I'm interested. Hold on. You just brought up something. I used to go to game facts every day Like, even until maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I want to see how old my account is. It's like, and I have older accounts, but I don't remember them. But this is definitely the oldest. God, I haven't been on here in forever. This was my, like, life for a very, very large portion of, like, my adolescent years. I used to print out, like, these enormous strategy guides, like, for Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger and shit like that. And I would take them to school and read them while, like, class was going on. So the teacher thought that I was reading, you know, like, looking in your folder, taking notes. And those things were fucking huge, too. God, when did I make this? 22 years ago. My account can legally drink. That's funny. That was a long time ago. That was like 4 lifetimes ago for me.
I get cravings for pasta all the time, and like bolognese is just my go-to. I gotta stop eating this because I have another meal to try. Shit, I can't. And last but definitely not least, I've got here the Peruvian-style chicken thighs with cilantro, rice, and brown butter plantains.
Down there,
Get a little chicken bite going here. This is what you want. That's some good stuff, guys.
That shit's too expensive, man.
$11 a meal. And the plan is super flexible. You can choose from 4 to 16 meals a week, and it's commitment free. You can skip or pause delivery, cancel at any time. You guys can get 50% off your first order of Cook Unity meals by going to cookunity.com/wavywebsurf and by using code WavyWebSurf50 at checkout. Big thanks to Cook Unity for sponsoring today's video.
I was unaware of that.
One of Omegle's first high-profile criminal degenerate users was a man named Richard Finkbeiner, a sick individual responsible for one of the most elaborate sextortion plots in United States history. In 2010, Richard Finkbeiner was a 39-year-old man living in Brazil, Indiana. Constantly online, this disgusting man would begin sexually interacting with minors in online video chats, using Omegle along with other platforms.
I mean, that's exactly
his victims
like the perfect haven
calls.
for people.
According
like
to
that.
the FBI, Finkbeiner, while using Omegle, would stream videos of pornography to those that he matched with, in an attempt to coerce incoming minors to reciprocate acts in a sexual way. The minors, who thought they were interacting with the person shown in the porn video, would then be asked by Finkbeiner in text chat to join in, and some would sadly follow his instructions. When a minor fell for his trap, Finkbeiner would then record their camera footage and add it to his personal CP collection. And if that wasn't depraved enough for you, this guy would often later anonymously contact his victims, revealing to them the fact that he had recorded them participating in those sexual behaviors, almost in a braggadocious manner, like, I gotcha. While performing digital surveillance on his victims, Richard would collect their sensitive personal details, later using that information for blackmail, threatening to release the videos to porn websites or to send them to the victims' friends, family, and school teachers, unless these victims continued making sexually explicit content with them, recruiting the minors as digital sex slaves of sorts, forced to participate in acts with him while he recorded them for his catalog. According to FBI reports, these acts included coercing them into exposing themselves, forcing them to wear embarrassing outfits, and even forcing them to scribble Finkbeiner's online alias on their body with a permanent marker. Through these elaborate and sickening strategies, Richard was able to collect a multitude of victims, both male and females, whose ages ranged from 12 years old to 17, and were living in 9 different states, including Indiana, West Virginia, Iowa, Wisconsin,
him
Ohio,
under
New York, Michigan,
the
Illinois,
jail.
and Colorado.
Can we do that?
There was even one case involving a 12-year-old boy with transcripts showcasing the poor kid pleading with Richard and messages to not release his blackmail video to the internet, and the sick man
Jeez.
essentially telling the boy tough luck and uploading the stuff anyways. Dude was a sadist and psychopath, a pedophilic monster. Another incident showing how heartless
I'm
this
assuming
guy
he
was
went to
involved a
jail, and I
teenage
hope he
girl
got
who
what
was
was coming
so
to him.
traumatized after falling victim to Finkbinder's trap, she attempted suicide. Thankfully, she would
Jesus.
survive. Now, she later sent an email to Finkbinder stating what she had done, and Finkbinder would then reply with, "Glad I could help." Finkbinder was able to get away with performing these highly exploitative acts for around 2 years.
It's disgusting.
But sexual extortion reports from some of his later victims, a 14-year-old boy in Maryland and another in Michigan, would catch the attention of the feds. Authorities began an investigation, setting up a collaboration between the FBI and sheriff departments from all over the country where the reported crimes were taking place. This included the Oakland County, Michigan Sheriff's Department and the Prince
how do they
George County,
figure out where
Maryland
these people
Department,
even
with
are?
significant assistance from the Indiana State Police, the Clay County Sheriff's Department, the Terre Haute Police Department, and the Kokomo Police Department. It was truly a national endeavor. After a
Jeez.
thorough investigation, authorities were able to trace these sickening crimes back to Richard, and he was pinned.
But
as the
how?
culprit.
I'm like really
the monster
curious
of
about
Omegle
that.
would finally be arrested on April 6th of 2012, with the feds seizing a staggering 22,000 video files from webcam
Oh my
feeds
God.
recorded by Finkbinder, half of which
22,000?
depicted sexual content from his sextortion ventures. The FBI also
Jesus.
recovered close to 47,000 downloaded images, many of which depicted CP. The police would then begin the work in unwrapping his elaborate sextortion scheme, which would give Finkbinder additional charges. In total, Finkbinder was charged with 10 counts of sexual exploitation of children, 2 counts of extortion, and 1 count of possession of CP. The CP charge came from Richard both possessing images from the minors that he had extorted, as well as an entirely different collection of files. These are some serious charges, but they don't truly reflect the massive victim pool that Finkbinder had
Yeah,
accumulated.
that's
Through reviewing
so
the man's
much.
email communications,
Debatably
authorities
worse
were able
than,
to
like,
ascertain
well,
that there
I don't
were
know,
at least
John Wayne Gacy.
153 victims, and only 20 of them had been
At least through
identified by
volume
name
alone.
and confirmed by the authorities. Law enforcement would say, quote, "These charges formalize allegations of a systemic scheme to victimize hundreds of children and teenagers all over the country. Thanks to the tireless work of investigators over the last 3 months, we have been able to identify and contact many
I wonder if
victims
he
of
just
these
like
alleged acts. This
slipped
process
up
is ongoing, and we
whenever he
continue
was
to do all
talking
we
to them
can
in
to
chat
offer
or
support
something.
after the nightmare they are alleged to have endured. Richard faced a maximum of 30 years in prison for each count of sexual exploitation of children, 2 years for the extortion charges, and a $250,000 fine for each of the charged offenses. In January of 2013, Richard would plead guilty to the charges of sexual exploitation and CP, and the deviant would be sentenced to serve 40 years in prison and was hit with a $70,000 fine, all coming on June 26th of 2013. It was also determined that after he was done serving his prison sentence, Richard would be forced to serve a lifetime of supervised release. At the time of his case being concluded, it was one of the largest sextortion cases in the country. This was the first major case where a criminal used Omegle to facilitate his crime, and it most certainly wouldn't be the last time.
I
the
really
site would
want to
see
know
foul
like how they
play.
caught him. It seems like that would be impossible. I mean, clearly not, but
Now we jump forward about 3 years to 2013 to our next case. It's the story of military serviceman Colin Lowry, a man not guilty for sex crimes against children, but for killing someone live on camera, broadcasting the act to an unsuspecting
Holy
user live
shit.
on Omegle, that user being still unknown to this day. On October 22nd of 2013, a 22-year-old Nevada Army reservist named Colin Lowry, along with 23-year-old Cherish Pincombe, were hanging out together with one of Colin's roommates named Patrick within
and
Colin's
he killed
home in
her. She's
Henderson,
pretty
Nevada.
cute too.
During this chill session, they decided it would be
Fucked
fun
up.
to hop on Omegle and talk to some strangers, as one would do back in 2013. But sadly, this would be no routine night on Omegle, as a freak tragedy would begin to unfold the moment that their webcam booted up. According to reports, the story goes as follows. After chatting to a few different people, Colin and Cherish were matched up with a woman from Norway who, curious about American culture, had asked if the group owned any guns. Colin, a military serviceman, most certainly did, and would promptly step out of view of the camera, returning after a short while with his rifle and a .45 caliber handgun. He then would begin eagerly showcasing the firearms to the anonymous Omegle user. Now, at some point, Colin is said to leave the area of the Omegle camera setup to go use the bathroom, leaving his guns at the computer, only to return again shortly after. By this point, the Norwegian had left, and another Omegle user is said to have been paired up with them. Now, what happens next is somewhat disputed, as the footage is not available for the public to view. But it's alleged that while resuming showing off his handgun, Colin would raise the pistol to Cherish's head in what could be described as a joking fashion and would pull the trigger, possibly believing that it wasn't loaded. The gun would discharge, shooting Cherish in the head, causing the woman to go limp. She was critically injured, and the shooting was broadcasted live to an anonymous viewer. While I'm unable to ascertain at what time of night or early morning the shooting occurred, at around 8:30 a.m., Colin Lowry would call 911 and report that a gun had been accidentally discharged within his home. Cherish Pincombe would be taken to the Sunrise Hospital, where she would later sadly die from the injuries that she had sustained in the shooting. When questioned by the police, Colin would admit that he had been drinking alcohol, but stated that he had no idea that the handgun was loaded.
Playing fucking Ring Around the Rosie. Holy
this whole
shit!
Thing being nothing more than a freak accident. Considering the apparent negligence at play, police felt this to be more than just a mistake and arrested Colin for the killing. He would insist that it wasn't his fault, even reportedly claiming that Cherish had loaded the weapon while he was in the bathroom. An interesting twist if true. However, investigators pushed back, stating that Colin had likely taken the weapon to the bathroom with him, inserting the magazine and loading it in there. Yeah, if you haven't picked up on it, the cops believe that Colin had straight up murdered this woman in cold blood, like it was premeditated. In fact, they went as far as insinuating this whole situation was much more than accidental manslaughter. It was some sort of methodical thrill kill, you know, with Colin booting up Omegle with the intention of slaying his friend live on camera. That's what they thought. Now, it's to note that there were no other witnesses within the room when the shooting occurred. Colin's roommate was apparently no longer around when this transpired. The cops had to get their hands on the Omegle footage, as it likely held the truth of what actually took place that evening. Police subpoenaed the Portland, Oregon-based website Omegle for footage of the shooting to possibly attain some sort of evidence to confirm their suspicions. They would receive some snapshots from Omegle, but it was only the chat portion of the website. These conversations, including some messages from Lowry,
how much can you hold,
and the person that they were matched with. Sadly, though, it appears footage had not been archived by Omegle. But what about the other person on the other end of the video chat? Couldn't they speak to what had happened? Sadly, due to the anonymous nature of Omegle, this person has never been identified, and investigators were unable to ascertain any IP or metadata that could lead them in the right direction in regard to finding the enigmatic witness of the Omegle shooting. If someone was watching their screen at the time,
you would think
it's
that
very
the
likely that they're keeping
it.
that gruesome moment with them to the grave, as no one has ever come forward. The snapshots recovered by the cops would unfortunately reveal very little, and it was a dead end barking up that tree. Colin's case would have to move forward without any video evidence and approached with a more traditional forensic style. After his arrest, Colin's bail would be set at $200,000, and investigators checked the magazine for Cherish's fingerprints to see if Colin's story had checked out. They would find that the physical evidence didn't show any of Cherish's fingerprints on the magazine. Something else interesting to think about here, Colin Lowry was a trained staff sergeant in the military reserve. He had many years of weapons training, apparently weapons training that he decided to just randomly forego on that day and act like a fool. I'm not trying to say that I know for a fact that Colin had a actual, inclination of murdering Cherish, but it is unusual for someone in the military to handle a gun this irresponsibly. There was reason for police to be suspicious. Later, Colin Lowry's roommates testified that Cherish and Colin, along with everyone else in the house, had a playful relationship with one another. Duffy, one of the other roommates, would even tell the court that he had not once ever seen Lowry get angry at Cherish. Colin Lowry's attorney would use this to argue that his client should be tried for manslaughter and not straight-up murder. Quote, I heard no evidence whatsoever
I am
of
hitting
premeditation,
a bit of
and I heard no
lag.
evidence whatsoever of malice, the lawyer said.
That is
the
on
judge
me.
would disagree
Hopefully
and
it will
ordered
go
that
away
Colin should be
momentarily.
tried on an open murder charge. In August of 2014, Colin would cut a deal with prosecutors and pled guilty
Maybe.
to voluntary manslaughter with a
I'm
weapon.
not, like,
And on
downloading
October
anything, am I?
24th of 2014, Colin Lowry would be sentenced to 8 to 20 years in prison. During sentencing, Colin would apologize to Cherish's family within the courtroom, saying he had never meant to hurt anybody. It seems his words fell on deaf ears, though, as family members of the slain victim were quoted as calling Colin a cold-blooded killer. It's somewhat
I don't know.
unsettling to think that there's
I don't know
someone
what
out
I
there
think
who
about that.
may have watched this shooting take place live on Omegle and just has gone about their life with that horrific scene burned into their brain.
It is very
Whoever
weird.
you are, I hope you're doing well, and perhaps one day, come forward. Let's talk.
Nah, that's cool.
Sadly, not long after the shooting incident, another child sexual exploitation case would come forward, involving a man
Just,
named
like,
Dennis Witt, who would
stop doing
challenge
that shit to
underage
kids.
girls on
It's
Omegle
really
to
not
a
that
sick
difficult.
game in an
Don't
effort
do
to
that.
fulfill his twisted fantasies. Beginning in late 2013 and early
fucking
2014,
awful.
40-year-old Dennis
Just
Witt
don't.
of Marina, California, would begin participating in behavior that went beyond degeneracy, with the man frequenting websites like Omegle, pretending to be a 16-year-old boy named Lucas. Using this fake persona, he would interact with underage girls, never showing his face.
Yeah,
During these
imagine
chats,
that.
the 40-year-old fraud would quickly get sexual. Acting as Lucas, he devised the game, in which young girls would gain points for participating in lewd behavior. For example,
God,
girls
it's so
could receive a
fucking
point for
creepy.
taking off a piece of their clothing, or would receive more points by performing outright sex acts. A criminal complaint describes
Where can
this
I
activity.
redeem these
Three
points?
girls began to play
Can
a
I get
game
itchy and
whereby they would
scratchy
do
money?
things
Sorry,
on camera
bad
to
joke,
earn points.
bad taste.
Tasks began with things like waving and blowing kisses, but progressed to showing Lucas their genitalia. Unquote. Dennis groomed these girls on Omegle and also on his Skype account that went by the username Vampirate God, and his profile picture was a skull and crossbones. The
Of
guy
course it
is like
was.
a modern-day Camden
Wow, I'm,
Gerard
like,
Davis,
incredibly
but white
shocked.
and 40 years old. Now, what's truly sickening about Dennis in particular in the context of this video is the ages of the people that he victimized. The age range of his victims went from 16 all the way down to 7 years old.
Oh my
Just some
God.
really unspeakable crimes here. I say this
Throw
with
'em
all seriousness.
under the
there are
jail.
actual monsters that walk the earth, and I don't know how you could have any sympathy for someone like this. But it's just disgusting.
No. You know what? We always say throw them under the jail. Throw them under the people that were already thrown under the jail. That's where they belong. Fuck them.
The conversations with these 4 particular underage victims, who were all from Jefferson County, New York, began in May of 2013, according to the criminal complaint. It stated that during these interactions, Dennis recorded the girls 48 times between July 25th of 2013 and September 16th of 2013. The oldest one, at 16 years old, would communicate with Witt daily, with the others being communicated with far less frequently. While Dennis performed these abhorrent acts with the children, it would not be long before the authorities got tipped
And like
off,
we've
as one
gotten
of the
so
fathers
many
of the
people
4
within like the
underage
past
victims
2
from
weeks
Jefferson
on
County, New
YouTube
York, would find about
doing
the activities
similar
and
shit.
alert the proper authorities
Like,
and
just
channels.
don't.
The FBI,
Don't.
when alerted to this, would
Don't
team
do
up
it.
with the Silicon Valley Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, a group that specializes in targeting people who produce and distribute CP online. Together, they were able to find Dennis's Gmail, AOL account, and Skype account, and were able to backtrace these accounts, finding his IP address, which gave them his
Backtrace.
real-life location. The FBI
Remember
then
that
executed
Jesse
a search
Slaughter?
warrant, and on April 30th of
Consequences will
2014,
never be the
authorities
same.
would storm into Dennis Witt's house in Marina, California, where they would confirm that
simpler
Dennis
times.
was in fact Lucas, and they arrested the man and escorted him outside in handcuffs. In a darkly hilarious moment, the pathetic Dennis would be photographed in handcuffs wearing a "Wanted Dead or Alive" t-shirt. Looks like the fat degenerate slob really dressed up for the occasion. What else would you expect from some fucking loser that goes by Vampirate God on the internet and abuses children?
Yep.
While in Dennis's house,
Not
authorities
wrong.
would search
Not
through his
wrong.
computers and find 48 video files and 20 image files consisting of CP. Some of these videos were over an hour long. There was also content containing other children found on the internet as well. In
Of
total,
course.
a catalog of over
It's
10,000
never their first
videos
time.
and image files were looked
Ever.
through. After his arrest, Dennis would admit to the officers that he had captured the videos of the underage girls and saved them to a folder titled My Girls. Now, this guy is a true piece of work, ain't he? Dennis Witt would later be extradited to New York to face trial. He would plead
Good.
guilty in November of 2014,
Oh, he did, yeah.
and on April
Okay.
8th, 2015, Dennis would be sentenced to 60 years in federal prison on 7 counts of sexually exploiting children. When released from prison, Dennis must be put on supervised release for life and will be required to register as a sex
He's not going to make it that
From
far.
what I can find,
Don't
there
worry
was an
about that.
attempt to appeal the sentencing, but it was denied. Thank God. Let's take a breather. Now we enter an era of relative peace. Let's do a bit of an Omegle history lesson.
Okay.
Now, thankfully, for the next several years, Omegle would be free from major criminal events. Yeah, old men still went on there to broadcast themselves jerking off, but for the most part, things were quiet on the site. People were using it as it was intended, to have fun and
To
talk
jerk
to
off.
strangers and make, unique friendships with people from across the world, as was the intention of the site's creator, Leaf K.
No, I mean, we've already, we've seen this before because people used to do, really fucking creepy shit where they would go to conventions, like video game conventions and shit. And that was at the height of the 3DS kind of popularity. And they had that, Picto chat. And you could see people around you, with the local Wi-Fi. And, at those conventions, obviously the little kids would be doing that. Then you have some fucking creepy people going in there and drawing dicks and shit. And then Nintendo shut that shit down because people like that don't allow us to have nice things.
Single-handedly developed Omegle while living at his parents' house when he was just 18 years old. He wanted to connect people from around the world in video form at random, a novel concept for the time. The 18-year-old just wanted people to have fun and communicate anonymously online. Talk to strangers, as was the slogan of the website.
Naive.
Launched in 2009, his creation was
How
an
naive.
instant hit, and Omegle would become established as a permanent part of internet culture in short time. A mainstay of web-based chatting visited by millions of people from around the world since. After all, Omegle's premise and what it was intended for was actually quite remarkable for the time. I mean, real-time video chatting on a web browser back in
Pretty
2009 was kind of a big deal. I personally remember hopping on Omegle with some buddies and ending up matching with some other teenagers our age somewhere else in the US and becoming friends with these guys. You might exchange Xbox gamer tags and play Call of Duty.
I had a really good
Even
friend
keeping in
one
touch with
time
them
that I
for
met
years
on
at a
Final
time.
Fantasy
When
11.
used correctly, Omegle could be a great way to
Completely
make
different
connections and
times.
friendships
We were
from the
legit
comfort of your
close,
own
too.
home. Sadly, though, Leaf's vision for a connected internet would become tainted by those with abusive tendencies. Predators began taking advantage of the accessibility of his platform and used it as a tool to victimize the many children that regularly visited it. This was a fact that hurt Leaf on a personal level, as he himself is a self-admitted survivor of childhood rape. Though
That makes
despite the
sense why he
misuse
shut
of
it
his
down then.
creation, the vast majority of people were using Omegle to make friends and simply to chat. Leaf saw no reason to shut down the site completely and spoiled the fun for everyone because of the actions of a few. This would be a stance that would prove
That's a good,
increasingly difficult
way
to
to think,
maintain as more time
in my
passed
opinion.
and more predators emerged. Now, moving a bit forward on our timeline, we look at an Omegle abuse case from 2019. A particularly egregious one in that the perpetrator of this crime was in fact an officer of the law, a seemingly trustworthy member of society.
Yep, those are the
30-year-old
worst.
Simeon Smith from
The
Chesterfield,
God, man, they think
Virginia,
that
worked as a
nobody will ever
police
catch
officer
him.
within the city, beginning his occupation with the department in May of
Fuck
2017.
'em.
On the surface, Simeon was unlike any upstart officer, a seemingly clean-cut man, eager and filled with an almost naive enthusiasm for upholding the law and protecting the community. But
Good
his
actor.
disposition was nothing
I mean,
more
bad
than a
actor, but
facade,
good
as
actor.
beneath the surface, this guy was nothing more than a sick freak with a badge. On March 18, 2019, just before noon, 30-year-old Simeon Smith was apparently feeling aroused and would take to Omegle, looking for both women and young girls to talk to. It seems age mattered little. Officer
Sure.
Simeon Smith would eventually be matched up with an account claiming to be a 14-year-old teenage girl named Crystal. At the beginning of
You
their
know, we
lengthy
shouldn't
and
allow,
scandalous
like, kids on the
conversation,
internet at all.
Simeon asked for the
I really
girl's
think
age,
that.
to which she said she was 14.
That would
He
solve
then
a
allegedly
lot of this
responded
shit.
with,
And I
30
know they would
male
find some
Richmond.
way to,
Is
like,
that
get on
okay?
there, but
The conversation led
I
by
don't know.
Simeon then escalated to a sexual nature, with Simeon asking the minor, quote, "Tell me how old you were the first time you did anything sexual," unquote. Simeon pushed the sexual agenda in this conversation, with Crystal reportedly not reciprocating. The chat log ends with Simeon saying, quote, "Oh, and you asked where we would do it? Ideally on your bed. But if that's too risky, I'll rent a room at a hotel," unquote.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's a policeman stating explicitly
That's
where
so
and how he would like
makes
to
me
have
feel
sex
dirty,
with
like, even
someone who he
listening to
thinks
that.
is a 14-year-old girl. Now, thankfully, what you must know is that there wasn't actually a real 14-year-old girl here. It was an undercover cop. Yes,
Oh.
the police, likely not realizing it at the time, had one of their own on the hook.
Jesus.
In an effort to confidently identify who they were chatting with, the Crystal account would ask for the creep's social media, which led them to a Snapchat. Simeon would send Crystal a photo of himself, giving the undercover officers more evidence in regard to busting this at-large creep. During this investigation, the Hanover Police Department collaborated with
These people have to be aware of, like, To Catch a Predator and shit like that. I mean, they have to, right? Why would you do it?
members of the Southern Virginia Internet Crimes Against Children FBI Child Exploitation Task Force, which included officers from around the state of Virginia and the FBI and Homeland Security. This massive collection of law enforcement entities would hone in on Simeon, and they were able to link the IP address with Simeon's North Chesterfield home, a house that he actually lived in with his wife.
Cobalt.
The creep cop had been found and would be stung. Simeon would be arrested on March 22nd of 2019 and charged
Damn,
in
that's,
Hanover
like,
County
pretty
with 3
recent,
felony
too,
counts of
kinda.
use of a communication
Not
system
really.
to facilitate certain offenses involving children. Many items would be seized from his home, including Asus and Samsung laptops, 7 thumb
Full
drives, a CD, a yellow shirt, Sony
All
and
full of
Nikon
fucking
cameras, an
child
external
porn.
hard drive, and a ThinkPad laptop. Law enforcement likely eager to pry into these devices. He would be held without bond. The head of the Chesterfield Police Department would put out a statement while they were in the process of terminating Simeon's employment. Quote, "I am both disturbed and disgusted by the actions alleged. and
He'll
I
get
want to
what's
say
coming to him in
clearly and
jail, I'm sure."
unequivocally that there is no place for such conduct by anyone in our agency, in our profession, or frankly, in our community." In August of 2019, Simeon would plead guilty to 1 felony charge, while the other 2 were dropped. And on September 24th of
Why?
2019, Simeon was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but would have 8 years suspended along with 10 years of probation.
Dude, fuck that. Fuck off with that.
Now we move forward to 2020 in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Around this time, Omegle saw a rise in popularity as millions of lonesome people on lockdown sought to interact with others. With a vastly increased user base, this also meant more opportunity for crime to take place on Omegle. And that's what we find throughout 2020. and
COVID
early
was like
2020s
a
in general.
godsend
Omegle
for
just
the
becomes rife
technology
with
industry.
degeneracy.
Well,
but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Not
the
anymore,
major
because
2020
everyone's
case
laying
in my
everyone
eyes
off,
is the
but-
case of Crystal Scott. It's a bizarre
Back
situation
in those few
involving
years.
a degenerate sadist responsible for hideous
Pretty good.
animal abuse and was only caught thanks to the concern of the online and furry community. In late April of 2020, when
fair
most were
enough.
dealing with social distancing and lockdowns, folks from all walks of life flocked to Omegle, and one community that raised eyebrows
Twitch.
in particular
Everyone
were the
got a
furries.
boost on Twitch.
Furries, thanks to their wacky animal
Well,
costumes, were often
most
pretty
everybody.
humorous to come across on the site, and many would enjoy interacting with them. The already isolated furries took to Omegle en masse during the pandemic, where they could discuss their love for the fandom, entertain others, and in some cases, just provide some wholesome cringe. But it wasn't all fun and games for the furries.
I've never
In
heard
the midst
that.
of the COVID malaise, a
cringe.
furry browsing Omegle would come across a harrowing spectacle. After being matched with an anonymous
Shit.
user, this
Fuck.
camera
Sorry.
feed showcased
Scared
an
me.
anonymous woman that appeared to be wearing a mask made out of a
God damn
freshly
it.
skinned
I'm
animal
jumpy.
hide, and they were holding a miniature, bloody and fleshy-looking animal skull. These animal
Oh
parts
my
seemed like
God.
they had been procured from a recently killed animal, according to the user. The frightened furry snapped some photos of the scene and shared it to the web, thinking that the parts used in the individual's costume may have been from a freshly slain household pet. More sightings of this mysterious figure would be reported
fuck
in
that.
short
I
time,
cannot
with
stand
all who
animal
encountered the
violence.
account feeling
It's like the
extremely
one
disturbed.
thing.
This story was initially contained within the furry community, as it was apparently a furry who had found the anonymous user first, and the report would cause quite a bit of concern for the furries. As they did their best to investigate the anonymous woman from Omegle further, they found troubling hashtags associated with the grisly user. Hashtag furries, hashtag furry fandom, and most importantly, hashtag fursuit. Creating a fursuit out of animals slain for the purpose of creating
that
a
is so-
costume is
oh my God, I just put
unsurprisingly
it
frowned
together.
upon within the
It's
furry
fucked up.
community. And as far as I'm aware of, it is most likely illegal in most places. At least
To
in the
kill
sense
your
of
own
using,
pet,
like,
make a
cats and
fucking
dogs, which
persona out of
appeared
it?
to be what was going on here. Did Omegle have an animal slaying fursuit maker on its hands?
What
It
the
wouldn't
fuck?
be
I've never
long
even
before
heard
these
that.
collective incidents
Holy
would go
shit, that is
viral,
wild.
and many on Reddit would post about it. The thread would go as far as to allege that the woman on Omegle killed, burned, and skinned cats, and they had some
Fuck off.
compelling
Oh my
evidence to
God.
back this up. In the Reddit
Fuck
thread,
off.
an Omegle user would share an
need
image
to
that
do
they had
that to
snapped
them.
of the mysterious woman while browsing Omegle. And this gruesome image was that of her holding a skinned cat's head, with the musculature and eyeballs still attached. It's really disgusting, and
That-
viewer discretion is highly advised if you go about seeking this photo out
No,
for
I'm
yourself.
not gonna be
But
doing
yeah,
that.
The cat looked like it was recently
Like-
killed, and with this
I will go and watch like people getting electrocuted and shit. But I can't watch this. I cannot do animal violence. Like I've seen people be beheaded by ISIS. But like cat violence and stuff, no. I can't handle it. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else that repulses me that much. Maybe like pedophiles, but that's about it. I don't know. But I can like, well, no, never mind. Yeah, pedophiles and animal harm. Can't do it.
it became more likely that people really were dealing with some sort of Omegle cat killer. The public's interest in this case rose, as now not was just the furry community looking into it, the broader internet was as well. A TikTok account allegedly created by the crazy cat-killing Omegle woman was discovered with a description describing herself as a French taxidermist. Other accounts allegedly
Fuck
operated
off.
by the user would post
Hey,
taunting
it's
messages
Mudahar.
to those trying to track the Omegle cat killer down, such as "good luck to all" and "happy hunting." She even claimed to have actively infiltrated Discord groups that had been created to hunt her down. It seemed like this was nothing more than a game to this person. Animal abuse is no joke, however, and
Yeah, no
nobody found her sick antics entertaining. I mean, it's like she was trying to turn this into some kind of fucking ARG, but she's killing animals to facilitate that, allegedly. Why do this? One TikTok post allegedly written by the cat killer
To
elaborates
get a rise
on
out
their
of
motive
people.
as to why.
That's exactly
Quote,
why.
Because I'm tired of degenerate brats and people who think that they are better than those. I was raped once by my boyfriend. I want to put fear in others, even if I scar brats. Okay, so let me get this straight. So apparently she got raped and went Joker mode, deciding to get a revenge on her abuser by striking fear into random strangers online with dead animals. You know therapy exists, right? Like you can literally just get counseling. Now this crazy cat killer lady seemed to be so
fair,
confident in
therapy
her
doesn't work for
anonymity and
everybody,
believing that
believe
she
me.
wouldn't get caught that
firsthand.
she actually published her schedule to her TikTok as to when she would be going live on Omegle. So you can clearly kind of see here that this is like a give me attention.
It's like a Zodiac killer
Law
thing,
enforcement
right?
really
It's kinda
needed
what
to
it
step
seems
in
like.
like yesterday. The case had become quite the spectacle in the online world, and its notoriety would urge people to pressure law enforcement to get involved, with cyber sleuths sending calls and emails regarding the Omegle cat killer to police agencies across the US. But turns out cops wouldn't be necessary in unmasking this psychopathic animal abuser. Finally, after weeks and weeks of non-stop clue hunting and putting the dots together, the most dedicated of amateur online investigators pieced together the puzzle. Picking up the crumbs of evidence left by the Omegle woman, they were finally able to identify her. It was 19-year-old Crystal Scott from Kokomo, Indiana. She was the woman behind the gruesome Omegle streams. Now law enforcement
need to
got
do
involved
to her
and
what
would
she did to the
uncover the
cats.
extent of the Omegle cretin's degeneracy. On May 3rd of 2020, Kokomo police would search 19-year-old Crystal
Kokomo.
Scott's home in Indiana. There, they would seize multiple deceased animals and body parts, including 2 cats in her freezer and a glass jar filled with an unidentified animal. Crystal had claimed that these
Oh my
animals were
God.
dead when she found them. Sadly,
2 glasses filled with an unidentified animal? What?
though, local police were not able to charge Crystal during this first visit, and the raid was falsely reported on by local authorities who called Crystal a hoax artist. Apparently, the police needed more evidence that she was harming or killing the animals found dead on her property. And that evidence would come. A bit over a month later, on June 26th of 2020, another complaint of animal cruelty would be submitted to law enforcement regarding Crystal, where a man believed that a pregnant cat that he had given to Crystal had been tortured and possibly killed by her. With this, finally, the FBI stepped in, and in July of 2020, Crystal was arrested on charges of animal crushing.
Good.
The Omegle cat abuser
Crushing?
had finally been put in handcuffs.
Crushing?
At the time of her arrest,
I didn't know that
Crystal
was like
Scott
a
was facing up to 7
specific
years in
thing.
prison and a
I mean, I know it's
$250,000 fine.
like a
She accepted a
specific
plea
law.
deal on November 10th of 2021, where she pled guilty to the 2 charges of animal crushing and was sentenced to serve 30 months
Had
in
no
prison
clue.
and 5 years of supervised release. And it's very likely that those creatures that were shown on camera were ones that she had killed. You have to give a nod to the furry community for blowing this story up in the initial stages.
They're weird,
and
but
getting the ball rolling in
Good for
regards
them.
to putting this monster in a cage where she belongs.
Good for them.
Now we get to our final headline story in the chronology of criminal activity on Omegle. It's the last major case before the site's official shutdown. It involves an Omegle predator hunter of sorts busting an online creep by the name of Matthew Manoski. On June 4th of 2023, YouTuber Nico is Cold would upload the first of his catching creeps on Omegle videos. In this series, Nico would employ a young-looking adult woman that pretended to be underage in an effort to catch older men sexually flirting or interacting with them, under the assumption that the grown woman was a minor. He's trying to catch pedophiles basically using an adult posing as a minor.
Sure.
One of these creeps discovered by Nico and his team would be a man going by the name of Mike, who during the conversation would be told that the girl on camera was 16. Despite this, Mike would ask the young girl to take her sweatpants
Nico would
off,
be all over that.
after which Nico
I'm sure.
would reveal himself, making the creep known that he had been caught in 4K.
Fucking
While
weirdo.
indeed creepy, nothing overtly criminal had been caught in Nico's video. But it was the comments section under Nico's video that was far more interesting in terms of spelling out who Mike really was. Curiously though, the day that Nico uploaded this video, the YouTuber would receive a plethora of comments from random internet users, expressing how they too had uncomfortable run-ins with this Mike fellow on Omegle, insinuating that he was a serial Omegle sex pest of sorts that targeted the underage. A comment says, "Guys, please read this. I have met one of the creeps on here. So a few weeks ago, I was 14. I'm 15 now. But the one who was named Mike at 5 minutes 16 was always on the tag bored. And I remember the first time I saw him was traumatizing. Back then, I tried to be nice like everyone, and well, that was a bad idea. He kept calling me cute and pretty repeatedly asked me if I thought he was attractive, to which my reply was that I thought he looked like a dad, and he just laughed. I wanted this guy to be exposed so much, so I asked him questions. He has a job and a wife and obviously his 16-year-old kid.
Man,
I
they
skipped
did
him when he
such a
told
good
me he had a
job with
fetish
this
for like
guy.
underwear and wanted to know what color mine were. Before I skipped him, however, I told him in the chat that he was a pedo and to get off Omegle, but I saw him again a week ago. It was traumatizing, so I skipped. I wanted him to get caught so badly, but thank you so much, Nico, for catching him. I really hoped this would happen. I'm still scared to get on Omegle nowadays, and mostly do it with friends, but the fact that over 300,000 people saw his face, I'm so happy. Thank you, I can sleep well tonight. Edit, I forgot to mention his age is 53.
Don't go back there.
I made him tell me for the first appearance I had with him. Merely a few weeks later, Nico would meet Mike again in his second edition of Catching Creeps on Omegle. In this video, Mike would run away once more after Nico appeared on camera.
No.
Yeah, buddy, you're done again, Pat.
Shit.
Later, it would be revealed that Mike was actually caught flirting on another YouTuber's Omegle creep busting channel called Ashley Guggs. He was seen in a video called Thirst Trapping Predators on Omegle, uploaded on June 8th of 2022. And this was published a whole year before Nico's first exposed video came out. So he had been recklessly flirting for a while,
of
in
course.
this Ashley video, Mike
It's
would
never
say
their
his age was
first time.
52 years old,
Ever.
and that he was a kinky, dirty, perverted old man. Ashley would then attempt to bait Mike and say that she was only 15, to which Mike replied, quote, "This is where the fun begins." But apparently he realized he was being set up and dipped out. Mike likely thought that his run-ins with the Omegle predator hunters would have little impact on his life. Sure, he got ridiculed by a few YouTubers, but at least he was staying out of a jail cell. At least these guys weren't cops, right? Well, the continuous pattern of this guy showing up in Omegle predator videos would catch up to him and have catastrophic repercussions on Mike's family and his work career. And his appearances in these videos would lead to him being suspected by actual law enforcement and put behind bars. As stated by Nico is Cold on August 17th of 2023, Mike's son would get into contact with Nico, apparently revealing to Nico that Mike's real name wasn't Mike at all, and that his real name was actually Matthew Manowski.
On August 17th, 2023, Mike's son messaged me on Instagram, and as it turns out, Mike had been lying about his identity the whole time. His real name was Matthew.
The son would explain to Nico that his videos had been
son
sent
took
to
him
his
down.
stepmom,
God, can you
or
even imagine the
Matthew's
trauma
wife,
from that?
and that the couple was in the process of getting a divorce. The son apparently expressed to Nico, though, that he hoped the videos could be taken down due to the embarrassment that he and his family were receiving.
Mom at the time saw the video, and now they are in the middle of a divorce. My whole family knows, and it's just been not good recently. I know it's your job.
I can't even
to do something about the video.
Like, they
or
never
removing it
show
would be
you
the
that,
best
like the
option for me and my
aftermath
family.
of
People
the
at my school
family
know about
dealing
it,
with
and I
it.
don't want to go back to school and get made fun of for it.
While this is happening, family members of Matt are getting in touch with Nico as well, as the videos had gotten on their radar and they were looking into the situation.
The guy that you guys caught twice in your Omegle videos is quite literally my second cousin. My dad got sent this video today, and I've been digging into this more for him before we take action.
And then an alleged detective from a police department in Matt's local area would contact Nico, revealing that Matt was a part of a separate investigation, like he was already being looked into.
Identifying a subject in one of your Catching Creeps on Omegle videos, and that subject is a part of a separate investigation.
Is it Omegle or
Omegle? My
Omegle?
investigation.
Now get this. In Nico's video,
does it not
he would
matter?
reveal that Matt was telling his family members that he was a paid actor and that this was some sort of collaboration with Nico. Like,
Dude,
he was
we've
trying to
heard
say he
that
was
like
in on
every
Nico's
fucking
videos. Naturally, when these family members reached out,
To
Nico
Catch a
would tell them
Predator
that this was a
episode,
complete fucking
like,
lie.
oh yeah, I was teaching
Becoming
these
more
people a
desperate to
lesson.
save his reputation, later Matt would somehow
the
find
fuck up.
Nico's phone number and was able to get in touch with the YouTuber to plead his case. Nico recorded the call.
I know that my son has reached out to you, and I appreciate you taking the time to actually listen to what he has to say.
I just wanted to talk and just see what's like going on.
With multiple reports and video appearances, the FBI did actually get involved with Matt.
Good.
It would be revealed that Matt was from Valparaiso, Indiana, and the underage predator allegations surrounding him were spreading like wildfire in the community. People around the city would give tips to the FBI, which led to Matthew's arrest on October 6th of 2023, due to the separate investigation mentioned previously. Turns out he was allegedly doing more than just flirting with minors on Omegle. Matt would be charged with one count of child molestation, where it was disclosed that the 53-year-old Matthew Minosky was being accused of molesting a young girl multiple times, starting when she was 9 years old up until she was 11 years old. These alleged crimes took place from December of 2020 to July of 2023. In Nico's video, he would reveal that the girl was allegedly molested up to 2 times a week within the girl's household while the family was there. One such incident allegedly happening while they were all sitting at a table and she was sitting in Matt's lap. Matthew received 1 felony charge of child molestation. It was also reported that Matthew was a football coach as well. Pretty unsettling. It said that before the police were involved and Matthew was confronted about his allegations, he said, quote, "If I ever did anything she didn't like, she should have told me to stop." The YouTuber would also reveal that Omegle has ceased operations 1 month after Matthew's arrest. And Nico speculated that Matthew's arrest, along with the media attention around it, had a lot to do with the shutdown. The case of Matthew Minosky would be the final major criminal case to come out of Omegle, as the website would be officially shut down by Leaf in November of 2023.
Good call.
With Leaf himself stating in
We
his
can't
own
have
farewell
nice, fun
address on the
things.
website that his
It's
decision
like-
was very much...
It's like that shit that happened like a month ago, 2 months ago, where they put that like portal thing up in New York, and then people immediately like started showing, not sharded. Maybe they did shard. I don't know. Could be. But like they immediately started showing like titties and 9/11 images and shit. Of course they did.
Influenced by the abundance of child predators that had come to occupy his website over the years. It's truly sad what happened to Omegle, a place created by an enthusiastic 18-year-old programmer living in his mom's house who just wanted people to connect and have fun on the internet, only to slowly become corrupted
Yeah, we
over
can't
the
have
years
nice
by
things.
the dregs of
It's a
society,
lesson hard
co-opted
learned.
and defiled to a place that can only be browsed if using extreme caution. While Leaf states in his farewell address that his decision to shut down Omegle was motivated by his disgust of predators, there may have also been an additional factor. According to a report from ABC News, the shutdown was the result of a lawsuit. A suit filed back in 2021 against Leaf and Omegle from a sexual assault victim who claimed Omegle matched her with a sexual predator when she was just 11 years old, and this girl alleged that the match resulted in her being abused. According to ABC News,
Yeah, but no, don't you have to like consent and like agree if you're above a certain age?
attorney representing the victim claims the Omegle shutdown was the result of mediation between the platform and their client. Whatever the case, Omegle is gone. That being said, there are many other Omegle-like websites still around, like
Really?
Chat Roulette, and random webcam-based chat sites are certainly not going anywhere. They're a staple of the
I
internet.
did not know
However, if today's timeline
no
has
clue.
taught you anything, use these platforms with caution. And if you have kids that are using them, some extremely careful supervision certainly
Agreed.
wouldn't hurt. And well, you made it to the end
Agreed.
of the timeline. That was the disgusting fall of Omegle. Let me know what you guys thought about the video down below in the comments section, and let me know who or what you want me to talk about next.
Thanks, I hate it. Alright, I'm gonna get off. I'll be back in a few hours. Take it easy. Maybe my voice won't sound like fucking dog shit.